go some stuff. Okay, so let's go over some calories. I've got some slides, so I'm just going to share my screen and hopefully you can see them. Where are they? There they are. And just trying to, excuse me, keep it reasonably simple for you. So can you see my screen?
Yep. Yes.
So we're just going to go over it really basic, what they are, what are macros, how you achieve a calorie balance, and then answer any questions that you've got. So calories are just basically a unit of measure. You may know some of this as well, and that's fine. 1 kilocalorie is how much energy it takes to heat 1 kilo of water by 1 degree Celsius. So that's where they got the measurement of 1 kilocalorie from, is from that there. And now we use it to measure our food intake. And 1 kilocalorie equals 4.184 kilojoules, just depending on what you prefer to use. I guess probably somewhere else in the world they might use kilojoules. I don't know.
I got calories.
Yeah, I'm definitely calories as well. And often it's in kilojoules. And if you have to divide it by about 4, and you sort of get it. So what are macros? Macronutrients is the term given to the larger nutrients where we derive our energy. So we've got fats, proteins, and carbohydrates. And actually, alcohol is considered a macronutrient as well. It is just that it has the same calories as fats, but it has no nutritional value. So that's why it's not included in the main 3. So each macronutrient has a calorie, what am I saying? Oh God, I'm not feeling very articulate. A calorie value per gram. So fats are the highest at 9 calories per gram, and then you've got protein and carbs both at 4 calories per gram. So protein and carbohydrates per weight have less calories in them than fats do. This is probably where, when everything had to be like a low-fat diet, and this is sort of why. So what do macros do? All of them are important. So diets like the Atkins diet and keto and all these things aren't great because we do need all those macronutrients for different things in our body. So protein is muscle synthesis and repair. So making us able to build muscles and repair muscles from the strength training. Fats are really important. They help maintain our hormonal levels. They help with cell membrane integrity, cushion our organs. They also, some vitamins are only fat soluble. So if we don't have any fats in our gut, we won't be able to absorb vitamins. And then carbs are the main source of energy for our body, particularly the brain. So I don't know if you've ever and I noticed this when I was at uni and I was studying heaps, like 12 hours a day, and I would just start craving a Coke. Like I don't drink Coke, and I just crave it. And I think it was due to the fact that I was using my brain so much. And I can't remember the exact number, but it's like our brain uses something like 20% of all the carbs that our whole body takes in goes just to our brain.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, it might even be more than that. It's pretty crazy. So carbs are super important. And I think this is one of the reasons that when people try keto, they get a bit foggy. They get a bit of brain fog because you're not giving your brain the carbs it needs to be able to think clearly. So energy balance. So energy balance is basically the balance between the energies in and the energies out. So for fat loss to occur, you have to have eaten less calories than you have burned. Weight gain, and that can be muscle or fat, depending on the presence of stimulus, occurs when you eat more calories than you've burned, right? So if you think of it like a scale, if you've eaten more, then you're going to put on weight. If you've eaten less, you're going to lose weight. There are lots of factors to consider here, though. So you can't compare. Like if you look at someone's diet and you go, okay, I'm going to follow that, chances are very high that it will not work for you. A higher percentage of lean muscle mass will normally mean a higher energy requirement because it boosts your metabolism or it boosts your basal metabolic rate. Muscle, and I say this all the time, muscle requires more energy to exist on our body than fat does. So that's why. And then lots of things impact this: body size, height, age, activity level, and a lot of medical conditions actually as well, which is why some people say they can't get in a deficit because they have hypothyroidism. And it's like, well, deficit is still the thing we need to achieve. It's just that their baseline might be lower than someone else who's matched for their size and activity level due
Okay. Yep.
to decrease. But at the end of the day, calorie balance, calories in versus calories out is the only thing that is going to make you lose weight. Everything else, there can be things, factors that change how much you have to eat or how much you have to not eat in order to achieve that, depending on these things. But there's no way around it. It's just black and white. That's all it is. Saying that it's simple, but it's definitely not easy to achieve. So this is like often what people want to do. They want to gain muscle and lose fat at the same time. This is typically a little harder to do because to gain muscle, you need to be in a surplus. To lose fat, you need to be in a deficit. So obviously those two sort of conflict with each other.
Yep.
It is definitely possible though. It's just slower. So you'll gain muscle more slowly and you'll burn fat more slowly because we're doing them together. That's why usually like bodybuilders will go through a bulk phase and then a cutting phase because it's heaps easier to just eat all the food, don't worry about fat and just focus on building muscle and strength and having energy. And then once you've built the muscle, then you go into your cutting phase, which is in a deficit, which makes you burn all the fat and show all the muscle. It is something you want to achieve. These are the ways to do it. So you just have a small calorie deficit. So we still need to be in a deficit, but it's only a small one. And that's so that we have enough energy to put into training, which is where we're going to be able to build the muscles, right? If we go into too large of a deficit, you'll find that you don't have the energy, you've like zero motivation to train, you've got headaches, you're not sleeping well and everything, and it doesn't end up well. You might lose fat, but you're probably not going to be building the muscle you want. You need to follow a consistent weight training program, which is always going to be repetitive, unfortunately. That's where like the whole fitness industry kind of bugs me a bit when it says, you know, no two workouts are the same. And it's like, well, in order to get better at something, you have to repeat it multiple times. Like you don't go to learn the guitar, try it once, and then go and play the drums, hoping to get better at the guitar, you know, like it doesn't work like that. And get your need up. So go for more walks. And I actually just did a post about this, going for more walks. And it doesn't have to be, well, I think it was you I was saying it to a few weeks ago, maybe last week. If you want to go for a 30-minute walk every day, you don't have to go for a 30-minute walk every day. You can go for 3 10-minute walks one day.
Yeah, you did say that, yes.
Yeah. Which is something I think people forget, you know, they're like, I don't have time for a walk. It's like, well, you've probably got time for a quick one, 5 or 10 minutes. It all adds.
Yep.
And finally, how do you know how many calories to eat? So this is the tricky one, right? So I always recommend some calculators and tracking to begin with. Otherwise, if you don't know how many calories you're eating and you're trying to eat less, then how do you know that you're eating less, you know? They are to be taken with a grain of salt. So I reckon, and I think I went over this as well a few weeks ago, finding and then putting your details in, writing down what they'll give you and getting an average of that number. Start with that. Hit that number every single day, or you can add it up, multiply it by 7, and then that's your calories for the week. So some days you might have less and you kind of save them up for if you're going out to dinner or something, and then some days you might have more. That's fine as well, as long as it's you're hitting.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so say you've got 2,000 calories per day, you've got 14,000 calories for the week. So one day you might eat 1,500 calories, which means the next day you can eat 2,500 calories. Just so long as you're hitting the average, the multiplied number over that week. After 2 weeks, weigh yourself again. If you have lost weight, great. You were in a deficit, stick with that number and keep going. If you gained weight, then you weren't in a deficit, and that could be due to you not tracking properly and actually eating more than you realized, or you did track properly, but the number is too high. So that's something that you'd have to look at yourself and be like, okay, was there anything that I missed? And often it's the oils and the sauces and things like that people miss. If you think that you've tracked everything perfectly, take a couple of 100 calories off each day, get your new weekly number, and then do it again for another 2 weeks. Keeping in mind that as you lose weight over time, your basal metabolic rate will also decrease, which means you need to continue decreasing the calories that you eat. So this is why strength training is so good, because that will actually increase your basal metabolic rate. Because you can imagine if you've got 20 kilos to lose and you start losing weight and you've already started on 1,800 calories a day, suddenly it's getting smaller and smaller and smaller. And like, how are you supposed to survive, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Goals. So strength training all the way. This is my tip down here. You could just eat 80% whole foods, 20% soul foods, as we say, focusing on your protein intake. However, if you've been trying for a while and you're just not getting the results, the easiest way to do it is tracking. Unfortunately, it's pedantic and it's annoying, but you don't like what gets measured but gets managed. You know what I mean? And so unfortunately, you just might have to. The other thing is to be patient, because it just does take time, but in the meantime, you're going to be learning these good habits and building new habits and learning a lot about food. I also wanted to demonstrate that if you ate nothing but McDonald's, you could still lose weight. So there's a calorie deficit, and that is completely separate from quality of food. Some high quality foods are actually really high calorie. So this is, I think, another thing where a lot of people get caught up is they think, well, I had that really awesome smoothie for breakfast, and then I had an acai bowl, and then I had this really super healthy wrap, and then I had this beautiful chicken and rice dinner. And it's like, cool, food, awesome, really good food, but you've just eaten like 3,000 calories, And so even though food is good, it still contains calories. People often, one of my clients, I told her a few months ago, and she's since stopped doing it, but she used to snack on nuts and dried fruit, which is really good for you, but incredibly high calorie, so high. She was like, I think I'm putting on weight. And I was like, what are you eating? She told me, and I was like, that's got to be it. And she would eat like a whole bag of it during the day, which would be probably 1,200 calories, maybe more, which obviously on top of your other meals is going to be a lot. So just remember, you can hit a deficit eating crap food, and you can hit a surplus eating healthy food. So obviously I have a big focus on health. I don't just want to get people skinny. So we want to be hitting our deficit with healthy food. So that's where bringing your proteins in, focusing on your protein intake can really help, because of all the benefits of eating protein and strength training and walking and being patient.
Mm-hmm.
So little switches, like you asked the other day about your, was it oat milk latte?
Yeah.
Yeah. So little things like that, which could potentially be an extra 300 to 500 calories a day that you could cut, like cutting that alone would make a huge difference. By the end of the week, if that was, say, 500 calories over 2 coffees, let's say, by the end of the week, that's 3,500 calories, which equals half a kilo of fat loss. So you could lose half a kilo a week just by not drinking those coffees anymore and changing the coffee that you have. So it's worth taking a larger snapshot at your diet, deciding what sort of matters more to you. If you're happy to change out your coffee for something like a long black, or even a long black with a dash of oat milk, you'll save so many calories. And it's literally like saving money. You know what I mean? Like, that's how it works. So question time. Got any questions for me?
Yeah. Well, I've just started doing the tracking just to see where I'm at.
Yep.
I did that calorie thing on the computer, and they said 1,500.
Okay.
Which I think equates to about half a kilo a week, something like that.
Did they have you on a half a kilo a week deficit?
Yeah.
So that's the other thing that I didn't really cover is, for someone who's not huge, a 500 calorie per day deficit, which over a week equals half a kilo of fat loss, is going to be really a big deficit and a big dip out of what you can already eat. So keep that in mind, and you might need to reduce the deficit a little bit, down to say 300. It means the fat loss will be slower, but you'll have the energy to put into training and all of the other things. So because we don't want to starve you, right?
I haven't added anything up yet, so I sort of don't know where I'm at. at the moment.
1,500 is not a lot of calories. Like I probably eat between 1,800 and 2,200 a day, I would say, probably more sometimes. I don't think I could eat 1,500 calories and not be grumpy.
Yep. As I said, I haven't sort of worked it out yet, everything, so I'm not quite sure even what it amounts to.
Just yeah, and see how you go. Like I said, what gets measured gets managed. So start with that, weigh yourself. Start with that, start tracking and see how you feel. Like if you're like, oh my gosh, I don't like 1,500 calories leaves me no room for anything, then just add a couple, even 1650, you know, and start there and see how it goes. Because it needs to be sustainable as well. Like you know, you want to be creating good habits so that you don't have to always track your calories. And then you're learning what you can eat without starving yourself. You know? Yeah.
So do I need to also break it down into like how many carbs, how many fats, how much protein?
No. So you can do it one or the other way. If you know how many macros you're eating, so proteins, carbs, and fats, then you know how many calories you're eating because we've got that. Hang on, we'll go back.
So as much for muchness, it all works out to be the same thing.
Yeah, well, macros are calories, right? So we'll go back to this one. So let's say you had 50 grams of fat in a meal, you would know that 50 times 9 equals how many calories you've just eaten. So it's much of a muchness. You can count whichever you prefer, really.
Okay. Yep, that makes sense.
Yeah. God, they're going crazy. Sorry if they're very loud.
I can't hear them.
Oh, they're so loud over here.
Yeah, no, I can't hear them. Okay. Yep, I understand now.
Yeah. So yeah, it's like I said, it's really simple once you understand it, but it's still not easy to implement. We still need to experiment with which foods work for you, experiment with what a calorie deficit actually looks like for you as well. Yeah, but the first step is obviously understanding. And if ever you're unsure, you can just Google it. So if you go and you get an 8-ounce oat latte, for instance, and you're like, wait a second, I want to see how many calories in this. Everything is on Google now. Just Google how much in an 8-ounce oat milk, you know, whatever. And it'll tell you straight away, enough to have a bit of an idea anyway. And that pretty much works with everything. If you're yeah. Did I give you you got the recipe book?
Yes.
Yeah, cool. So that's got, if you're on MyFitnessPal, that's got little barcodes down the bottom of all of the recipes, and you can just scan it and it goes into MyFitnessPal.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, super handy.
So what do I need for that?
MyFitnessPal.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and it just scans it. I think it also does now. MyFitnessPal I'm talking about does, like, you take a photo of your food, and I'm not sure exactly what it does, but I think it gives you an estimate.
Okay. So I've sort of been just writing down everything, like every little thing I have to make that meal at the time.
Which is awesome, and that's what you need to do. But obviously that can become tedious. Yeah, I would experiment, because let me have a look now. You might just need to, where is it? MyFitnessPal. Yeah, tidy up my phone so that it's not a million apps and then I can never find anything. There it is. I want to experiment with this as well and just see how it works. Yeah, it's got scan a meal. Meal scan lets you use your phone's camera to identify and match food with its nutritional information. Huh. Interesting. Multiple foods in a meal or recipe, scan plated items or ingredients one at a time. So you could literally have your ingredients out, take a picture of each ingredient, and it will build the meal for you.
The meal for you.
Yeah, which is pretty cool.
Yep. Yeah. Okay. Sounds good.
All right, cool. Well, keep me posted, like ask me questions and stuff, because like I said, it's simple, but it's also not simple. Like, especially if you're just getting used to it, it can be overwhelming. Yeah. Do you have any more questions for me?
No, that's that's good.
Awesome. Okay.
I learn a bit more each time you repeat it, so it's good.
Yeah. And that's it. Like, there's probably there'd be a dozen main lessons that I go over, and I just keep repeating it because it's a lot of information. You might only pick up a little bit, which is why I go back
Yep.
and repeat it again.
Because I was thinking I had to do the calories and then do the breakdown of the macros in it as
Yeah.
well to make sure I was having the right percentage.
No, it like
If I'm
sorry.
yeah, sorry, if I'm looking at something like a label,
Mhm.
should I be looking at like say so much fat or so much sugar in an item? If it's
If that's a
say
goal,
yogurt or something.
I would be just looking at the total calories and the protein. So
Okay.
that's what I look
All
at.
right.
Like, first of all, first and foremost, I'm always like, is there any protein in this? And then if
Mhm.
there is, I'm like, cool. And then I look at the total calories after that,
Okay.
because the macros make up the calories anyway. And then
Yep.
protein in itself, as I said, helps to like do all of those other good things that protein does.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
Cool. All right.
Okay.
Well, enjoy the rest of your evening.
Thank
And
you.
yeah, any questions, send them through.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Roxy.
No worries. Bye.
Bye.